Thank me later, yeah, I know what I said. But later doesn't always come, so instead.
What episode we on?
Are we
This
episode
is
14?
episode 15.
Is it really?
Yeah. I'm going to just double check because we ain't even ready, but we're recording. So, this is episode 16, actually.
For real?
Yeah, this is episode 16 of the Thank Me Later podcast, man. This is your boy, Nutty.
Slow Jam Philly.
And listen, man, while we are quarantined, we decided since we're doing this a little different to throw some of the homies in the mix. We got the homie Meniru, a.k.a. Mini in this thing. And then we got the international superstar actor extraordinaire, Kelechi in the building, a.k.a. Kels. What's popping with my guys?
What's up, brothers?
What's good? What's popping?
What's cracking?
How y'all
How
feeling
you
today?
doing? Feeling good.
Hey, Meniru, back up so we can see you, blood.
Yeah,
Dang.
a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Too close?
Yeah, you might.
You
See,
solid,
your wife might be watching this. She might want to see you. You know.
Yeah, whatever you say.
I'm all
buddy.
about the connections. You know.
Yeah,
Hey,
whatever you say.
We solid. So listen, man, since we got some of the homies on the podcast, we're not going to do any hot takes. We're just gonna jump right into some chatter, some banter.
Some topics and let them discuss, man.
So let's get it going. Phil, what you got?
I wanted to basically, not to get to know you guys or nothing, but us as African American men, we all grew up differently, whatever the case may be. Do you guys feel that you're defined by the culture that you grew up in? Do you feel like that defines you today? Do you guys feel that way? Like wherever you grew up in, like Kels, we know you grew up in Stockton. Meniru, you grew up in Brentwood. It's a nicer area.
I thought you meant culture.
No, but culture as well.
You can answer however.
Yeah. No, culture as well. Like culture, the way you were raised, the area you lived in, the morals that your family, stands by, and, things like that. Do you feel like how big of an impact does that have on you guys like today? Do you guys still stand by those? Did you guys create your own? Like, do you still go off of those or what?
Culture plus circumstance.
Right.
Basically.
There we go. Because everybody grew up different.
I'd say it's heavily a part of my life today, for sure. Definitely the Nigerian aspect of it is for sure. Because I talk to my parents all the time. They're super traditional. They're always trying to instill, excellence, positive things, how to live your life. They're always lecturing me, no matter what it could be. It could be I stayed up past 11 o'clock and I'm getting lectured and I'm 27 years old, so it's all still a part of my life.
Traditional how?
Just traditional, just how they grew up, like what they believe in, the things they believe in, just making sure you're taking care of your business, you're cleaning after yourself, especially during this wild time that we're in too, with the whole coronavirus stuff going on, just making sure that, you're, not being around too many people and, just like I said, instilling like normal values. God is always number one. Like that's like my mom's always talking about praying and stuff. So like that's
confidence is a big one. Would you say in the Nigerian culture for men, confidence is a big one?
I don't want to say like I don't think my dad has ever been like you need to be confident. It's just like just handle your business as like a man, just do what you got to do. But even from my mom's perspective, it's just like not from a like even a man or woman just thing, just like as an adult, this is how you should carry yourself. So I think I'm not gonna speak for Kels, but just since we're both Nigerian, I would just say that our culture is like if we were from America, or not even we are from America obviously, but if our parents were from America, then I think that like Kels being from Stockton and me growing up in Brentwood would like you would see that would probably overweigh like
that would be where it would branch off. Yeah.
Versus the Nigerian culture is so dominant, and our parents are, born there, raised there, everything. So like, everything is close. It's close to home. So
okay, that makes sense.
That's what I would say.
That makes sense.
Kels,
got your tongue?
Kels, what about you from growing up in Stockton with the Nigerian culture?
I would say the Nigerian culture is a very prideful culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nigerian people are very prideful. So having to like navigate prideful and then almost like controlling in a way. So having to navigate, some of these things amongst like Nigerian elders, where your parents' peers, where they're like, what are you doing? Are you going to law school? Are you going to med school? Are you doing some of these kind of things that to them define success, right? Like they think if you're doing one of those kind of things, then like that'll be the question. Like, oh, are you an engineer? It's like, no, I'm not actually. But it's like they're looking at you sideways, like, why not? But
Yeah, it's you can be anything you want in life: an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer. But you can be anything you want.
Anything you want,
but mainly those three.
Yeah, with those three.
So there's that, and then growing up in Stockton, that I would say that was a big piece too, simply because of you have your household culture, but then you have the culture outside of the house.
Outside, right.
The people that you're around, the things that you're seeing, and then trying to figure out where and how these things like intersect.
Right.
Because it's like, you see your friends like or people that were your friends at a certain time, or your friends, and you're like, they're doing things. It's like that doesn't really coincide with like what I've been doing in the house, like with my parents, my mom, and dad are talking about. So it's like it's an interesting thing of balancing that, and then like balancing being American, like being born and raised in America, but with Nigerian parents. So and then not knowing, if you don't know that many people who can relate to like that specific identity,
and then being
like,
black on top of it, I mean that has to do.
And then being black, but then it's like when you're growing up Nigerian, you have a Nigerian name and all these kind of things. Black Americans don't necessarily see you off the bat as just black. They're like, oh, you're African. So it's like there's a disconnect. You want to
know what's funny is the older I've gotten and I've better understood, because with Kels being from Stockton, without knowing he was Nigerian, I would assume that he would have more of a life experience as I did growing up in Oakland, right? But in thinking, not knowing if Meniru being Nigerian, but him growing up in Brentwood, I would already assume that there's a total difference. But the thing that I've learned as I've grown up is that because of the Nigerian culture, regardless of where you grow up, if you mix with whether it's inner city black people or black people that grew up privileged, that the Nigerian culture seems to be something that's like
the roots still stay strong.
Yeah, like it's still it seems like there's no disconnect between a black dude like me from Oakland and a Nigerian person like Meniru from Brentwood, who clearly probably grew up different, but the fact that you're Nigerian and have
Hey, the streets of Brentwood might have been hard, but you don't know, man.
But you get what I'm saying, though, right?
Hey, look.
But you get what I'm saying, though, right?
No,
I grew up tough.
I hear what you're saying, because
I didn't grow with a silver spoon in my mouth.
No, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying because there is a overall cultural difference between society in Brentwood and society in Oakland. Because you guys are Nigerian and have that in you, you could still mesh with the people from inner city, because you have the Nigerian roots that your people.
Yeah, the only thing I would say to that is that y'all be surprised, like in I think the reason why me and Kels, what the hell is it say? This meeting has been upgraded.
Don't mind that.
But yeah, I would say I think one of the reasons why me and Kels hit it off early is because even in our culture, you find two types of people: a person that is with it, essentially, and then a person that is like not with it in terms of like they have like they're I don't want to use the word square, but
Right.
they're
No, I get what
just
you're saying. Do you
they're
guys?
just
Do you,
they're not Americanized. They haven't conformed to the American culture. They've just kind of whatever their parents say, they've gone with it. Like
do you
it's
guys?
like
No, I hear
it's
you.
different. Yeah.
I hear
So
you. Do you
it's like
guys feel
it's
like?
even hard. It's
Do you
even
guys feel
hard
like the
meeting
way
people the
that
same.
the area that you live in, or that you were raised in, the high school and stuff? How has that affected your relationships? Because I know, like for me, I still have the same friends since I was 5-6 years old or
Yeah,
whatever.
me too.
But like it means something more to me that we have the same values in terms of that, regardless if my boys was off doing whatever they was doing. Like we knew the ultimate goal was for us to be successful and have each other's back regardless. So it was like brothers. And, I learned things about like, being in relationships from the women that I dated and coming up, from the values that my parents gave me, from that what I've seen around me in my environment to now. So like that goes into like the next question, like what is something that you learned about relationships that you probably didn't know, or that you've learned coming up? Not necessarily in your culture, where you were raised, but like something that you might have went through in a relationship that you've learned now that you could, because both of you guys are single, eligible bachelors. Ladies, if y'all see this, top 100 eligible bachelors in the Bay Area right here. So what is something
1A, 1B.
what is something you learned that that you could apply to your next relationship moving forward? And
like romantic relationship or like relationship?
Yeah, no, romantic or just relationship with people. Like, because anything that you're involved in is a relationship. Whether it's me and you guys, we have a relationship. We've learned how to communicate with each other over time.
Here's what I've learned. I guess, and that's how I maybe answer that question is, growing up in Stockton. So I was born in LA. So it's like I was born in LA, lived there for like 10 years, and then moved to Stockton. We went to elementary school, and it's like being young when you're still trying to form yourself and like figure out what your crowd is and who you're gonna hang with. I was like was rocking with the same kind of people for a while, but then after a while you learn and you start to see that you're on different paths,
right?
And you start to drift away a little bit. So it's like I have people that I used to be like my ace,
right?
My aces in high school, and just like that we in some part we like drifted away because of just completely different decisions that we started to make with our lives. So what it's taught me, honestly, is just like, for one, there's like, you got to be very selective about who you spend your time with and like who you bring in, and not be apologetic about it. Be like, because It's like, I can't be with you. Like I can't hang with you because it's like your vision for yourself is non-existent, and that means if I'm with you, you're liable to mess me up. Like,
yeah, and my vision
we
will
might
be
mess
the same.
around and get it. And it's like, whether it's like a decision that you choose to make out, and that can get you in trouble, things like that. It's like just by guilty by association. So for me,
can
I'm
still
like,
mess with them from afar, like from afar.
Yeah, but I
from
think,
afar. And that's what I've had to do. That's what I've grown to do, is like be able, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like you become who you spend time with. Like that's just what it is. So,
I think when you're younger, you unconsciously are making those, like when you're older, like it's easy for us to say now that we're in our 20s that we can be like, I could cautiously be like, okay, this person not moving, how I'm moving, I'm not gonna rock with them. When we are younger, you're in elementary school or middle school, you're kind of just rocking with you're not making any conscious decisions. Yeah, you're not making it. I never told myself, hey, this guy in 5th grade, I'm not gonna hang out with you no more. Just like he wanted to go play on the swings and I wanted to go play, tetherball, and then we kind of just
but that's not really what I'm talking about.
Went our own way.
That's not really the kind of decisions that I'm talking about.
He's talking about.
Those aren't really the kind of decisions. I'm talking about is like.
I get what both of you guys are saying, though. I get what both.
But I'm saying when you're younger, you're not making those decisions. They just happen for you. You're just going through your adolescent age, and then like by the time you're like, I mean, at least for me, I'm talking about I was like late in high school. The friends I made in late high school, those are my guys. we were all planning to go to college together or planning to go to
But
college.
that's the thing, though. What if you weren't on the same mindset? That's
if we weren't. Yeah, but those are conscious decisions. Yeah, those are conscious decisions that you're making.
This is where a little bit of the cultural aspect was split a little bit, because even when I was in elementary school, the household I grew up in and where I grew up at, even 8, 9, 10 years old, I knew some of the kids that I was around that was hanging on the block. I can't do that. Like I knew.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I feel.
Yeah, you know right from wrong.
But also, both of you guys had sports.
But
though.
you not
both
every,
of you guys had sports though.
But minus the sports part though. It's a matter of, again, this is just a minor disconnect from how certain people grew up in, because Kels knows growing up in LA or Stockton, you see that at a young age, and you're taught at that age that you need to be conscious of who you are hanging around, even at that age.
But was it taught? But I think a lot of it was just kind of like Minnie said, like I'm just rocking, like I'm just going, like I'm not.
You
like,
still know right from wrong.
Yeah, like
yes,
our parents taught us.
You're not making those conscious decisions.
What do you mean still know right
elementary
from wrong?
school?
What do you mean when you say that? Because if we're talking about, like what I'm saying is, I'm choosing not to do certain things. Then clearly not everybody knows what's right and wrong.
I think you both.
I just find it hard to believe that we were sitting here, like at that age, you're sitting here picking and choosing who your friends are. They just like
subconsciously
happen.
Why?
Yeah.
Why
so
do you
what,
find out? And what age? At what age?
What separates? Also,
you gotta understand. Look, what your experience was or is your experience. It doesn't have to be. We don't have to say the same thing. So if you're not aligning with what I'm saying, that's cool. But you can't be like, you find it hard to believe. For you, maybe like that's. But for me, what I'm saying is like, this was my experience, and like when there's people who can come from a child's perspective. People
subconsciously, I think we all do it.
No.
In high school, I'm talking about. I'm from
like a child development. Child development standpoint.
Listen, we're not talking about subconsciously. What me and Kels are talking about is consciously.
Yeah, 14 years old. You don't think
when
you
I'm
can make
18, 19 years old? Yes.
Listen.
When you're 18, 19 years old, but up until that point, like Phil didn't wake up. Phil didn't go to the playground and say when he was at 5 years old and say, "Hey Dante, I'm gonna be your friend today." It just so happened, and then you guys kept playing ball together. You guys kept hanging out. It just kept happening.
You're not even listening to what I'm saying. You're not even listening to what you said.
That's what I'm
saying. You're not even listening. You're making a whole nother point.
Kels, I think, are saying the same thing.
No, I'm not making a whole nother point.
Minnie and Kels, I think, are basically saying the same thing.
They're not.
But
okay, here's this. What we need to do with this is we need to raise our hand. We should raise our hand with this app. There's a raise hand.
Hey, because Kels has seen us more than
Kels, you're bad. Oh yeah, because he like
I can see everybody, but Kels has seen us one at a time.
So basically, Kels, you're saying no. I agree with you, and I agree with you, Minnie. Minnie's saying I'm not making a decision. Like one day I'm not going to school. Like you're not going to be.
I mean, now I am.
Well, but saying when we were younger, you're not going to be.
That's what I'm saying.
But in reality, we kind of are, because basically, however that person moves, like Kels was saying, if that person is moving not the way that I move in the direction that I'm going, I'm not messing with you. Yeah.
You gradually separate.
Right, and that's what. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I said.
I'm saying it's not a conscious thing; it just happens.
It doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen.
It happens because of your beliefs and your morals and your values of where you're trying to go. You're like, I'm just going to go. Right.
Your compass is set on a different target.
And Danny, that's what I mean by subconsciously.
Subconsciously, not consciously.
That is not subconscious. I can't tell you if listen. If some dudes are like, yo, you trying to go roll tonight, and they got things on them, that's a conscious decision for me to be like,
thank you.
Nah, stay in the house.
Yes, no,
I'm good. I'm not going outside.
There's 20 years old. Kels, 28
What?
years old.
No,
yes. 28
No,
years old.
Minnie,
Yes.
Minnie,
11
Minnie,
years old.
listen,
Time
Minnie,
out.
step outside of yourself for a second.
Time
Listen
out.
to what I'm saying. Like, listen to
No.
what I'm actually saying.
Time
No.
out.
I'm telling you that at 13 years old, at 14 years old, I made those
I'm gonna-
decisions.
No, I did too, for sure.
I'm not talking
Like,
about
I
that
have
age.
made those decisions.
No, I
like,
did
I'm
too,
not
but
talking about that age.
Guys,
I'm not talking about.
subconsciously,
I said your adolescence, which is your teenage years. Yeah, you're consciously making those decisions. I'm
That's
talking
what
about
I
before
said.
that.
but
We started,
overall,
we started talking about when we were kids.
I told y'all
No.
are doing the same thing. But what I mean, guys, by subconscious,
I'm literally talking about
I'm not saying
adolescent
that
age. Yes.
I'm not saying that you're thinking about it. What I mean is basically you're not necessarily thinking about it because the way that it's ingrained in you, how you're programmed, how you're raised, how you work. Like it's not like I just know right from wrong type thing. Like, oh, you're over here, you about to go rob a store. Like, no, I'm not. All right, cool. Go. Y'all have fun.
of
Y'all have
course.
fun.
It's
not
exactly.
like
Everything right and wrong is not the same thing.
right.
So
Like,
therefore,
We're saying the
it's
same
not
thing.
subconscious.
I'm talking about
literally-
adolescence.
Yeah, that's why I think you guys are saying the
it
same
is
thing.
all adolescence. 13 years old is adolescent.
I know. I thought we were talking about when we were elementary school. We were
But
still trying to figure out
even as a
identity.
kid, though, Meniru,
Time
But Phil, you started the conversation saying I've had the same best friend since I was 5 years old or whatever you said, right?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm thinking about 5 years old.
Yeah.
I'm not deciding, oh shoot, this dude's gonna be my friend. It just like it gradually happens. Once you get
That
to
wasn't the
13, 14
question.
years old,
That wasn't
you-
the question.
That wasn't the question, though.
That wasn't.
It wasn't the question.
that
I
was his
was just
example.
making an
That was
example.
his example.
That was his lead.
Yeah.
into
So
a
over
question.
the year, yeah, exactly.
He
So
said,
over the
"How
year-
then does how you grew up affect your relationships?
Your
today?"
relationships today. Yeah.
So me saying this is how I can then now as an adult look at my relationships are to be like, you know what? Like my experience has taught me that everyone is not on the same path.
Right.
Even as a kid.
No matter at what age you figure that out.
Right.
For
Exactly.
some people, they figured that out when they were 6 years old, and they were because of whatever traumas that had to mature them quicker. So it's like now they're at a more mature level earlier. So they're making a lot of conscious decisions. Not everybody's the same way as far as child development. Child development is not a blueprint. Like there's no.
It's not a
from law
general
perspective,
thing.
It is.
But it's not a
From a law
general.
perspective,
Everyone's different.
There's
Psychology is.
people that are and people commit crimes that are under a certain age. Depending on what it is, they're tried differently than someone that is older. So I mean,
Most
that's
definitely.
just,
But also you got to understand that you're a sponge at a young age. Like you're learning things at a young age anyway.
yeah, you are. That's what they say. That's the best time to learn a new
To learn
language
it
is when you're like a child.
when you're young. So
The
just
point,
like
hold on. Let me get my point out because even still now, Philip and Meniru are missing the point.
no, I hear you.
No, you
I
hear
hear
it, but
you.
you're not understanding because both
I
of
totally
you.
understand.
No, listen, both of you are arguing against Kels's point. which
I
is why
agree with
I
Kels.
kept trying to jump in.
No,
So
I'm
Phil,
talking adolescent.
you-
I'm talking
No,
adolescent.
Meniru was thinking as an adult. Phil was talking as a kid using
I'm
the
talking
word
about
subconscious. What
life.
we're saying is that
Just wait.
Go
even
ahead.
as a kid, 5, 6, 7 years old, because of the things that we've seen and been through, we are still able to make conscious decisions to
Most
say,
definitely.
listen, I'm not fucking with that
Most definitely.
because I know whether it's right or wrong, it's just not my path. So it's
Right.
not a subconscious decision.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
just,
sub- wait, you said
it doesn't
whether
just happen.
it's because
Like,
even if you're 6 years old and you don't want to do anything because your mom would beat your ass when you get in the house, or your parents would will whip you for whatever, and they're doing the thing that would get you in trouble. That's like that's a conscious decision,
Right, you're thinking about
And
it.
then when
yes,
you get to-
you're
and
thinking
then when you
about
get
it
to 10 years
consciously,
old-
but it's like the norm for you is what I mean. Like you're thinking about it consciously, but it's like the norm for you in terms of like this is how I work. Like nothing's gonna. I don't really even got to think about that because it's like, all right, I'm not doing that. That's not how I'm wired.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, okay,
it's
but
not
look,
like a
but look.
decision to go left or right. Like
Yeah,
a
it's
decision
as
like
it
I'm
is
sti- I'm-
now.
right? Like I'm standing there like
No, even then.
No,
That's
no,
what I'm
I-
saying.
no, no,
I'm
you
saying-
keep
okay,
trying to
Kels,
act like
I'm
as a
saying,
kid,
Kels,
you have no
Kels,
choice.
No, Kels,
No,
Kels,
that's not the case.
Now, no, look, let me explain. Now, me, hypothetically speaking, right? Me and you cannot, we cannot go our separate, like if we were to go, start going our separate ways, we can consciously, like I'm gonna consciously think like, dang, I haven't talked to Kels in like 3 or 4 months. shoot, let me call him, or vice versa. At 6 years old, you're not having those cognitive thoughts. You're just like, that dude's doing what he's doing, and I'm doing what I'm doing. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's
how do you think that every 6-year-old is the same?
That's what I'm
even if it was even if it was 6 years old, because I didn't necessarily say 6 years old. But let's say if we do use the 6 years, who's to say that every 6-year-old is the same?
If you want to leave it like 6 years old and making these conscious decisions, fine. I'm talking about
a whole broad spectrum, guys. If you guys are,
I'm saying that it's not. Point. I'm saying now that we're
older,
like
you're saying too focused on this age thing. Like
I'm saying now that we're older, you're making those decisions based. You're making like more cognitive, like conscious decisions on what's going to affect you now.
I don't think
like more than you were when you were 8 years old.
I think you guys just talked to me about the relationship aspect of it with the opposite sex, of course. So the relationship aspect with women, what is something that you've learned? And don't be too prideful to say that you were wrong about something, because we all were. But like, what have you learned in terms of relationship?
Hey, back up off the camera too, man.
Yeah. I told him.
My bad.
Or pop it up a little bit, but yeah, there you go. You gotta let the honey dip.
But yeah, anyways, me and Kel just talked about this the other night. But I said one thing I learned is like it's not like not everything is worth like a fight. Like not like just to get your way. It's like it's just not like. It's not that serious. Like it's not worth the relationship. It's not.
I love that. I love this growth. You know
I know. That's why even for me to say that, I'm like,
I love the growth. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I wish I knew that 10 years ago, man.
Growth talk.
I wish I knew that one 10 years ago. Pick my battles because
real life. A lot of relationships been. You know, haven't the
ego.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pride. Yeah, pride. I mean, I think you should always have like pride and ego to a certain degree.
To what extent? Yes.
Yeah, not something that is detrimental to your situation, especially if you view it to be good. Like if you view it to be a good thing, like you have to weigh it. Like, okay, is this situation really that serious to like complain about, to cause a fight that's gonna have us beefing? Like it's not that serious.
Is this argument worth it?
Yeah, like where is it gonna go? Yeah, where's the
like how far can I take it?
Who's the winners in this? Like what are you trying to get out of it?
What are you trying to get out of it?
Yeah, what are you trying to get out of it? Like what is the positive that can come out of it? If it's just you just want to do it just so you can impose your dominance or whatever, then it's like okay, you're not gonna get anything out of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
so little stuff like that. That's probably like my number one.
Wow. Kelechi?
Kel says, shoot, I ain't learned nothing. I'm good. Shit. I
ain't never been wrong.
I'm still a player from the Himalaya, boy.
Ask your question. Like, what's the question?
You know, what's something that you've learned? I mean, like relationship wise,
over time,
over the time of your life, and it doesn't have to. It can be from experiences from what you've seen from your parents in your household, your brother, like friends that are close to you,
your own situations,
old relationships that you've been in that you look back on and you're like, dang, I wish I could have done something different. Because you all have situations, whether it's an actual boyfriend or girlfriend or somebody that you were dating, where it's like, dang, I could have did that different. Not saying that we would be together right now at this moment, but I know that looking back on that, like, man, I was too prideful, or something.
Well, I would say it's not anything about changing anything really. I would say it's more so about becoming, like, what I've learned is that in certain relationships, I haven't been emotionally mature enough, I think, a lot of times to even be in a healthy relationship.
Dang, y'all preaching today. Look at y'all. Yeah. Hey, talk to me, Pastor. Keep going.
Yeah. So, like, where you realize that the maturity doesn't allow for the communication, like the communication. So that's probably what I said I've learned, and just knowing that, like, where I'm at today lets me be in a position where I'm more self-aware. I'm more just cognizant of the things that like you need to communicate openly. Like you need to have open communication.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's things that are wrong, it's like you have to be able to be like, how can we fix this? Or like, how can we get over this?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to just like letting things go and seeing if they'll just take care of themselves. So that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned is like it's important to be in a place of emotional mental maturity to be able to deal with the tribulations of a relationship.
How important do you guys feel it is to either show or be emotional in a relationship with a woman?
Well, I believe you got to be. I believe you got to be vulnerable, and it won't. You got to be vulnerability shows emotions. I mean, at the end of the day, and granted, we all have things that we're working on. If we can't be vulnerable and emotional with your partner, then I don't think in the grand scheme of things it's going to work in the, unless they're willing to peel back granted, Danny, with you, the woman that you dated or who you're dating, she's willing. They had to be willing to pull back those layers to show you,
right.
you being emotional, right? So they have to be willing as well.
But even before that, to what Kel said, you gotta be emotionally like ready.
in tune, emotionally in tune with yourself.
Like before you even get into that even situation, you gotta be like yourself. You gotta be like, okay, because he said the trials and tribulations of a relationship, that's part of it is the vulnerability. That's part of like any successful relationship, whether it's she's being vulnerable, you're being vulnerable, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
A relationship, you got to be vulnerable. Even in a friendship, there's some vulnerability there too, right?
Yeah, but
you have to be
emotionally in tune with yourself.
Yeah,
because
emotionally, ready.
What you're saying right now, what Danny just said is, Danny, you realize that things has happened in your past with your dad.
I know I have this issue. Like
right.
It's like I've gotten to the point where I'm in tune and know that I have this issue, but
what's the issue though? What do you mean?
Are you working on it?
What's the issue?
I put it like this.
Yeah.
Like
and we don't have to do
it was weird to me when my daughter was born. I didn't cry at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like that.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't even. I feel you, but I wouldn't. When I say that too, I'm not even necessarily thinking about like crying and like that kind of emotion. What for me is more so like.
But you're happy.
Emotional intelligence, like being able to be aware of how someone else might be feeling, and just like, and how it's really communication. It's about being like self-aware, and like if something's up with you, if you're feeling the way, can you identify how you're feeling? Can you talk about how you're feeling? Can you like?
But what is crying? Like what is the negative about like
not crying?
What's the negative?
No,
because I would say it's probably because of like what you think you're supposed to be, and you're like, damn, I'm not that way, so something's wrong. It doesn't have to be that way. But for me, it was like in relationships where it's like something happened in the relationship, and I'm just like, damn, I don't even know like how to go about fixing this. Like I don't know how to ask the like questions. Like it's just kind of like something that I'm just like backing off of because I'm not like in a place where I'm emotionally strong enough. Like, or yeah, maybe I don't know, maybe if I want to, but it's like if it's with someone that you love and someone that you're trying to like grow with, you want to be in a place where you can actually do those kind of things. Like, something's up, be able to sit with anger and not lash out. Like, be able to sit with, your partner in just like silence, so you can try to like figure things out and like. And you have to be at a place of like emotional intelligence and emotional maturity to be able to grow.
But, it all comes down to knowing yourself, though, like knowing yourself emotionally.
Yeah.
And Danny, like the things that you said, are you like? So you identify the things that you struggle with. Are you working, doing action steps to try to get better at those? That's the big thing. Like, yes, I know what I did, and yes, or whatever, or how I act, but what am I doing, to try to fix those things? Am I doing something different? Are you just doing the same thing? Because if you're doing the same thing, then your emotions are just going to stay the same.
That's the thing.
Right.
Like it's because I know what triggered this. Like, and mind you, this isn't like, and I just because we were talking about this is why I brought this up. But my emotional issues come like any relationship, whether it's my friends, women. Like I'm just like literally could give two shits about certain things that someone else could.
We know. We know.
But again, but see, that's where the issue is. Like if something, like, I'll give you an example, and I, knock on wood, God forbid, but like with our big group of friends, if something traumatic was to happen, like, I probably would be the one that just would have a blank stare on my face, and and people would look at me like as if I don't care, when that's not the case. But because I know what, why this is, or why I'm this way, it's weird. Like, I don't like it's.
Well, the question I
haven't come across anybody who has this, who's dealt with this before. You know what I'm saying? So that's why.
Well, the question I would ask is, do you even see it as a problem? And if you see it as a problem, do you even want, or not? If you don't see it as a problem, like, do you even want to change it? Because if you don't want to change it, then it just is what it is.
It just sounds like you're desensitized, honestly, to certain things. And I think that's, again, we go back to, how we were raised, and, the area we were raised in, and, things like that. Everything starts from, like, the root of things. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a problem per se.
Yeah.
Unless it's affecting your relationships, and maybe that's what you're saying.
So
you're saying that it's affecting your relationship.
It has before. Where
girls are like, oh, he doesn't care. You don't care enough, right?
Yeah. Like, if I've been in a relationship where we either go through something, or we get into a fight, an argument, it gets to the point where she's in tears, and I'm like,
and you're just not tripping.
Yeah.
Or you come
across as if I'm not tripping, but because, in my head, I'm just like, okay, I get it. I understand it. I feel what's going on, but it just doesn't come out that way. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird. Like, the reason why I ask that, because I haven't come across anybody who has the emotion inside of them, but because it's not
doesn't
shown,
know how to express it.
Yeah, like, it's like it affects relationships. You know what I'm saying? And it's
sure.
It's a weird thing. Like, and the only reason I asked because to see if y'all have either experienced that, or could figure out what could trigger. Because I have a feeling I know what triggered it, and I'm not ready to deal with that yet. But at the same time, I know that it's there, and I want it to be. I don't want it to affect anything moving forward. But at the same time, it's just something I've grown.
Honestly,
I'm
kind of trying to be more. That's the thing.
Have you considered going to therapy?
Not even a little bit.
Danny ain't considered going.
Why not? Because because based on what he just said.
No, I've talked to him about it before too.
He said he's worried that it's affecting. So like have you considered? Because it's like a muscle. Like it's like you tell someone, yo, I want to lose weight. I want to get fit. What are you going to go do? You're going to go see maybe a personal trainer. You're going to go to the gym.
Or you're going to go to your surgeon and get back bypass surgery.
Either way, you're going to a professional to help you with where you want to get, right? So if that is the case, and if this is an emotion, and you have to consider your emotions in that same way. Like, emotions are like muscles that need to be trained and whatnot.
I just got weird views of.
But you know what's weird
psychotherapy and all that.
No, but you know what's weird though? Because I'm emotional. Y'all know I'm emotional. I'm emotional. Like, I wear my heart on my sleeve, right? So, but what I was saying earlier is, like, there's some things that just aren't that serious. From what Danny's saying is, like, I kind of wish you're talking about traumatic stuff, but also some of the stuff that you've dealt with in past relationships with some girls, where I would make it a big deal and fight with you back and forth and argue. You may not do that. You just be like, all right, whatever, you got it. Or you might just act like you don't care. And honestly, I kind of want to be that way, to be real. Yeah. Like, I kind of want to be like, not less emotional, or not show less emotion, but it's like, let it go. Like, it's not going to rile me up. And a lot of, women sometimes will rile you up.
Yeah, but in reality,
they
though,
can rile you up
And
to the point where
you get riled up with us. You get riled
that's
up.
what I'm saying. Okay, yes, facts. I get riled up, and I'm saying I don't want to necessarily get riled up all the time. Riling up can get the situation even
Meniru,
worse.
do you think that
Right.
but see, that's the thing that I always wondered. Do you think that that's a pride thing with you?
Wanting to get the last word.
Wanting to get the last word, wanting to always be right.
I think
wanting to always be right.
I think it's more so like I think it's more so like
to me. I think it's about self-awareness, and if you're not,
I think it's more so
like how you're escalating the situation. It's
yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying. I think it's more so like I don't like being misunderstood. So if I feel like I'm being misunderstood, like I'm gonna fucking say it. Like if I don't feel like something's true, like I'm not someone that could sit in a courtroom and allow another person to like of course that's the etiquette. You're supposed to sit there and allow your lawyer to like.
Then gonna
I'll
jump
be
up and be like,
like,
wait a minute, that ain't how that shit went down.
I'm flipping over tables, you know. Like that's the thing I just never hear. Like, but that's the etiquette. You're supposed to sit there and you're just supposed to let someone else defend you, or you're not supposed to take the stand because strategy-wise.
Let's not talk about the court example. Let's not talk about.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just making a connection.
Kels, what were you gonna say? Kels,
because it's like to me that's like emotional maturity. Like to me that's what that is. It's like being able to sit within your emotions and not let it control you. Like that's really what it's about. It's like the mind the emotions are a terrible master but a great servant. So it's like if you think about it that way, if you allow someone else to trigger you, so you're a remote control. Like I can press a button, I know your button, I can move you how I want you to move.
Get you out of character.
Get you out of character like that, because if I can know your triggers, but if you become to a place where it's like when you hear that voice try to chirp up, you sit with it. And then
I mean, but there are times where
sure, there's times. Of course there's times, but exactly. That's the immaturity. That's the discernment to be able to be like, when times are.
Granted, if you and that person, like let's say you and your partner are arguing or whatever the case may be, and they continue to poke at that trigger that they know triggers you, you guys shouldn't be together on that level. Like I feel like because you shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean that's just someone that's just.
But also you got to understand. But in the grand also know that the other person has feelings too. And granted, we don't always understand, especially women. Like we don't always understand what women are basically, going through, or exactly how they feel. There's been plenty of times where I've been like to my partner, like, what are you talking about? Like, and she's saying, that's how I feel. And literally I'm like,
that's how I feel. I've heard that too.
And literally I'm like, what are you talking? Like, what? And so then
I think we think logically.
Right. So no, we do. But that's the thing. And so we're going back and forth. And then I have to take a step back. Like Kel said, I have to take a step back and be like, okay, remove myself and how I feel from the situation, and let me just literally just think about how this person is feeling, regardless if I get it or not. Let me put myself and be like, okay, they feel this way because, okay, so I understand that even if I don't necessarily agree, they feel this way because of a reason they feel this way. So then I have to take myself out of the equation completely. Like it's not about me. It's not about me. Set my pride and my ego aside.
Yeah, exactly. And don't try to change minds. That's what creates, because people always feel like you want to change someone else's mind about how they feel. It's like you can't do that.
And it sucks you in. Trust me, it sucks you in. I'm not saying it does.
But that's the moment you're lost. You're a prisoner in the moment.
Right.
And you can't be. And then the moment you can just like snap out of it and be like, what are we even arguing about? Like,
right.
What are you trying to say? Like, what are we actually talking about right now? Like, let's take a moment. Let's understand what we're doing. And maybe I want to address something you said. You said you don't want to be misunderstood. Something that I realized, like, to myself over time is when communicating, like with communication, it's not so much about like also putting some more onus on myself, more accountability on myself to be like, them not understanding may not be a cause of them not understanding. Maybe I need to refigure what I'm saying. Like maybe I
Right.
should put it in a different way. Maybe I should rethink what I'm actually trying to say. Because if you're saying the same thing over and over again, and like they're still not getting it, it's like you're obviously not going to get anywhere. So it's like rethink
Put
what you're actually trying to say.
in different
like,
contexts. But also, you got to
context.
understand that people don't go through the same situations as you, so they might not have any experience on the fact. Like, I kind of think about that. Not saying that it's the same way, but like, you know, when I see somebody do something ignorant or somebody say something racist, like, yes, they're racist, but they literally have no clue on anything that, you know, a black person has went through, or, you know, what we have to endure. So I can't expect them to know. Granted, they're just being ignorant, but in a relationship terms, like, let's say that you feel a certain way, Meniru, or your pride or your ego, and you feel so strongly about something, and they're like, why do you feel so strongly about that? Like, blah, blah. And you're trying to break it down to them, and they're not understanding, and they're getting mad, you're getting mad because they're not understanding, but they might not ever have had any type of encounter with a relationship or any person like you that they even, you know, could even understand anything that you're saying. I think that's a lot of the things that I had to realize as well, like being, you know, talking to, you know, having so many relationships that we've had over the time, you know, talking to the women that we've talked to, a lot of things that I come across is like the women sometimes have never encountered, not saying that I'm upper echelon male or anything like that, but women have never encountered some of the things, you know, that I talk about, or, you know, some of the things that I went through, or, you know, some of the things that I even bring up to them. Like, their intellect is not there. And not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but some people just, you know, they are not on the same level as you intellectually, so they can't even understand everything. But if we're talking about, that's just talking about dating, but if we're talking about relationships, you know, communication, like Kels was saying, like you were saying, just taking a step back and putting my pride, setting my ego aside, and just being like, hey, you got it. You got it at the end of the day.
Yeah, but okay, but it's a no, I feel
Let Minnie get the last word in here.
I feel that to a great degree, but just what I would say is, I speak from my side. So how I think about it is like, okay, I'm for Phil, I'm going to want to understand you. There's people that even in your relationship, so in a relationship, sometimes it becomes you versus me, all right? And it's never like, I don't ever want it to be you versus me. Even a friendship, I never want it to be you versus me.
Right.
I'm going to want to understand where you're coming from. So when I feel like someone's not wanting to understand, you're like, no matter what I say, you're trying to be against me, then it's just like, that's what kind of like grinds my gears. I'm like, damn, like, how can we be in a relationship?
Do you think that they're trying to be against you?
Phil, right. I mean, there's
how do you know? How do you like decipher? How do you decipher?
Is
it based on them agreeing with you?
Mean, okay, but
or
okay,
like,
well, because
they may not agree with you. You just two people may just disagree on something, and then that's just what
that's fine. You know? That's fine. You can have two different points of view, but we're talking about an argument in a relationship with your girl. And Phil, you were talking about earlier, you know, trying to understand how she feels. Okay, then so if you take a step back and say, okay, let me try to understand how you feel, right? I'm going to, and when I say we think about things logically, it's like, okay, logically, this is what happened. These are the series of events that happened. Okay, say this happened, and you're calling me a cheater, but I'm telling you from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, I was at my boy's house, but I wasn't texting you back because we're playing video games or something. But you want to, I feel like you were ignoring me, or I feel like was like, I'm just letting you know what happened. But so it's like, you can feel that I feel you, but when I lay out the steps, it's like that. It's just like it's hard to.
Time out. Let's we going over our time. We're gonna leave it right there because we're going over our time. I want everybody needs to grow. Everybody needs to be emotional. Everybody needs to be in tune with themselves. But listen,
you got it.
We about to get out of here before we dip up out of here, man.
Conversation.
Kels, I want to acknowledge this before we get up out of here. Our boy Kels, who's right there, that one in that box right there.
You're pointing at Meniru, but yeah,
I'm pointing.
No, he's pointing at Kels. He's pointing at me now.
Yeah, it looks like
you're like next to him, Danny.
Yeah, just go down.
Danny, go like this. Listen, from my view, because I'm the one recording it, Kels is right there.
Oh, okay. Kels is right there for me. He right there. Minnie's right there.
Kels is right here.
we want to acknowledge our boy Kels is in the new movie. What is it? All Day and a Night.
All
on
Day and a Night.
Netflix right now. He plays a character. Is it Rollo or Raylo?
Raylo.
Rollo, the homie
Rollo.
Rollo. Listen, if y'all have Netflix, jump on there. It's a
think
great
it's number one.
goddamn movie.
I think it's number 1 now.
It's trending right now. But listen, I want y'all to let people know where can they find y'all. What's your Instagram tags? All of that good.
Hurry up.
At Kelechi Wadivia, KELECHI NWADIVIA.
Bet.
Yo, you changed your Instagram handle?
Yeah,
You
he got to
changed
get
it?
professional.
You gotta
Not
be
thr-
professional.
not
Oh, okay. No more thrill seeker
No more
kills.
thrill seeker.
Go ahead. What's yours?
I
Drop your
I
info.
thought it was thrill seeker, but all right.
I typed in thrill seeker the other day. I couldn't find him. I'm like, what's going on?
What's your
Netflix
info?
special came out, Ninja changed it right away.
For real, got them DMs is popping right now. Everybody Googling this
Yeah,
day.
he's like, yeah, I gotta change up.
What's your handle, Minnie, so I can tag it right there?
Oh yeah, I could be found at M_OFODU. First
Listen, man.
initial, last name, _last name.
Listen, man, we had a hell of a conversation right now. Trust me, because we're still in quarantine, we're probably gonna do this again. Phil, you got anything else to drop on there?
Hey, such a healthy conversation that, all great, educated, smart, handsome young black men could have. I just love this, man. I love this.
Man.
Thank you guys for coming on. Truly
Yeah, man, we
appreciate it.
appreciate it. Listen, this is episode 16. Make sure everybody subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to this is all on all platforms. Episode 16, Thank Me Later podcast, man. We out of here.
And we out of here. Love y'all.
All right, fellas.
Thank me later, yeah, I know what I said. But later doesn't always come, so instead.